In Our Prime 2022 begins with a quiet but powerful setup that immediately pulls you into the lives of its two main characters. The film opens in a high school where we meet Ji-woo, a struggling student who feels isolated and out of place. He's not the most popular kid, and his grades reflect his lack of confidence. Math in particular is his biggest obstacle. No matter how hard he tries, he just can't seem to grasp the subject, which only deepens his frustration. His teachers are dismissive, and his classmates don't seem to understand his struggles either, leaving him feeling alone and stuck. The film's hook centers on Ji-woo's growing sense of hopelessness in a school system that's more focused on results than on understanding the student's individual needs. He's at a crossroads, unsure of how to improve his situation, until he crosses paths with a mysterious and reclusive man who works as a security guard at the school. This man is Mr. Choi, and from the moment Ji-woo sees him, there's something intriguing about him. Mr. Choi is quiet and keeps to himself, never interacting much with the students or staff. But Ji-woo notices that there's something unusual about the way Mr. Choi observes the world around him, particularly when it comes to numbers and patterns. One day after school, Ji-woo accidentally stumbles upon Mr. Choi in a moment of unexpected brilliance. Ji-woo sees Mr. Choi solving complex math problems with ease, almost as if it's second nature to him. It's a stunning revelation, and Ji-woo's curiosity is piqued. Ji-woo, eager to improve his math skills, approaches Mr. Choi with a sense of desperation. He asks if Mr. Choi would be willing to tutor him. At first, Mr. Choi is hesitant. He's a former math genius who turned his back on his academic career for reasons unknown, and he's not particularly interested in revisiting that part of his life. But Ji-woo's earnestness and clear need for help begin to wear down Mr. Choi's resistance. Eventually, Mr. Choi agrees to tutor Ji-woo, but under one condition: they will work together in secret. No one at the school can know about their sessions. This sets up a central dynamic in the movie. Ji-woo, the eager but struggling student, and Mr. Choi, the reluctant teacher with a hidden past. Their first few sessions are rough. Mr. Choi's teaching methods are unconventional, to say the least. He doesn't give Ji-woo the answers, but challenges him to think critically and approach math from a different perspective. He focuses on understanding the concepts rather than just memorizing formulas. Ji-woo struggles to keep up at first, but slowly he begins to see math in a new light. Mr. Choi's brilliance as a mathematician starts to shine through, and Ji-woo realizes that he's learning more than just numbers. He's learning how to think differently, how to solve problems in a way that applies not just to math, but to life. As In Our Prime progresses, Ji-woo's secret math lessons with Mr. Choi start to have a noticeable impact on his life. At school, his confidence in math slowly grows, and he begins to solve problems that once seemed impossible. Though his teachers and classmates don't understand how Ji-woo is suddenly improving, they start to take notice. The change in Ji-woo isn't just academic. He's becoming more self-assured in other areas as well. He's beginning to believe that he can accomplish more than he once thought possible, and this newfound confidence spills over into his everyday interactions. At the same time, Ji-woo is becoming more cautious about Mr. Choi's past. He realizes that his tutor is no ordinary school security guard. Mr. Choi's grasp of mathematics is extraordinary, far beyond anything Ji-woo has encountered before. Ji-woo begins to ask questions, trying to figure out why someone with such incredible talent would hide away in such a humble job. Mr. Choi, however, remains tight-lipped about his history, dismissing Ji-woo's questions with cryptic remarks or changing the subject entirely. It's clear that there's a story behind Mr. Choi's decision to live in isolation, but for now, he keeps it hidden. Their tutoring sessions grow more intense, with Mr. Choi pushing Ji-woo harder each time. In one particularly gripping scene, Mr. Choi presents Ji-woo with a math problem that seems insurmountable. Frustration builds as Ji-woo struggles to solve it, but instead of giving him the answer, Mr. Choi challenges him to break the problem down piece by piece, analyzing it from different angles. This moment is a turning point for Ji-woo. He begins to see that math is not just about numbers and equations, it's about thinking creatively and solving problems in new ways. The lesson is profound, and Ji-woo realizes that these sessions with Mr. Choi are about far more than just improving his grades. He's learning how to approach life's challenges with the same keen critical thinking and determination. As Ji-woo makes progress, the bond between him and Mr. Choi deepens. Mr. Choi, who started as a reluctant mentor, begins to take a genuine interest in Ji-woo's development. He sees potential in Ji-woo, not just as a math student, but as a young man who could break free from the limitations placed on him by society and the school system. Mr. Choi's teaching style remains tough, but there are moments of warmth and encouragement that show he truly cares about Ji-woo's success. Outside of their tutoring sessions, Ji-woo continues to struggle with feelings of alienation at school. Despite his improving math skills, he still feels out of place among his peers. The academic pressures are immense, and the competitive nature of the school environment weighs heavily on him. His relationship with his family is also strained, as they don't fully understand the challenges he's facing at school or the secret lessons he's taking with Mr. Choi. As Ji-woo's mathematical abilities improve, his curiosity about Mr. Choi's past intensifies. He starts to dig deeper, determined to uncover the truth about his mysterious tutor. One evening, while talking after a lesson, Ji-woo presses Mr. Choi for answers. Slowly, pieces of Mr. Choi's past begin to emerge. It turns out that Mr. Choi was once a brilliant mathematician, a prodigy who was expected to achieve great things, but something happened that led him to abandon that life and retreat into obscurity. This revelation sets up the mystery that will drive the rest of the film. What caused Mr. Choi to leave behind a promising career, and how will this truth affect his relationship with Ji-woo? The film is beginning to peel back the layers of Mr. Choi's character, hinting at a deeper story that is yet to be fully revealed. The mystery of Mr. Choi's past begins to come into sharper focus. Ji-woo, now more determined than ever, pushes Mr. Choi to reveal more about his former life. Slowly, the truth starts to emerge. Mr. Choi was once a renowned mathematician in North Korea, celebrated for his genius and poised for a brilliant career. However, his talent came with a heavy price. In a powerful and emotional moment, Mr. Choi explains that his country's expectations and the pressures to conform to the regime's ideology made him feel trapped. He was expected to use his skills for political purposes, and when he refused, he faced severe consequences. To escape the suffocating environment, Mr. Choi fled North Korea, leaving behind everything he had worked for. This revelation changes the dynamic between Ji-woo and Mr. Choi. Ji-woo, who had once seen his tutor as merely a brilliant but reclusive man, now understands that Mr. Choi's retreat from the world was not a choice but a necessity. Mr. Choi's story deeply affects Ji-woo, and he begins to view his own struggles in a new light. If Mr. Choi could endure such a painful past and still find ways to use his talent, then maybe Ji-woo can overcome his own obstacles. As their relationship deepens, Mr. Choi becomes more invested in Ji-woo's success, but he remains a tough and demanding teacher. In one scene, Mr. Choi gives Ji-woo an especially challenging math problem. The frustration builds as Ji-woo struggles to solve it, but Mr. Choi refuses to give him the answer. Instead, he encourages Ji-woo to trust in his own abilities, telling him that breakthroughs only come through persistence and self-belief. This is a crucial moment in Ji-woo's journey, as he begins to realize that the real battle isn't with the math itself, but with his own self-doubt. By forcing Ji-woo to rely on his own problem-solving skills, Mr. Choi is teaching him an invaluable life lesson, one that extends far beyond the classroom. As Ji-woo's mathematical abilities continue to improve, he starts to excel in school. His teachers and classmates are baffled by his rapid transformation. However, Ji-woo keeps his tutoring sessions with Mr. Choi a secret, knowing that the unconventional nature of their relationship would raise questions. Despite his academic success, Ji-woo still feels disconnected from his peers. The pressures of the highly competitive school environment continue to weigh on him, and he starts to realize that academic achievement alone won't solve all of his problems. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi's past comes back to haunt him in more ways than one. The school administration begins to take notice of the bond between Ji-woo and Mr. Choi, raising suspicions about why a security guard would be involved in tutoring a student. Mr. Choi's reclusive nature and secretive past make him a target for scrutiny, and the school officials begin to question his qualifications and motives. The tension mounts as both Ji-woo and Mr. Choi realize that their secret lessons might soon be exposed. In a powerful scene, Mr. Choi opens up to Ji-woo about the deep emotional scars he carries from his past. He explains that while mathematics has always been a source of comfort and clarity for him, it has also been a source of pain, as it was used as a tool of control by the regime he fled. This duality, math as both a passion and a burden, is something that Mr. Choi has struggled with his entire life. Ji-woo, hearing this, begins to understand that the lessons he's learning from Mr. Choi aren't just about numbers. They're about resilience, the pursuit of knowledge, and the courage to stand up for what you believe in, even when it comes at great personal cost. The tension surrounding Ji-woo and Mr. Choi's secret lessons comes to a head. Word spreads through the school that Ji-woo's remarkable improvement in math is the result of private tutoring, and soon the administration takes notice. School officials begin to investigate, questioning how a student who struggled so much could suddenly excel. Ji-woo's teachers, suspicious of Mr. Choi's role in his success, demand answers. The quiet arrangement that had allowed Ji-woo to grow both academically and personally is now under threat. Ji-woo, despite his growing confidence, is thrown into a dilemma. He's proud of his progress, but the thought of losing Mr. Choi as his tutor and mentor terrifies him. The pressure mounts as the school demands transparency about the tutoring, with some accusing Mr. Choi of overstepping his role as a security guard. The very system that Ji-woo was trying to navigate is now closing in on him, threatening to undo all the hard work he and Mr. Choi have put in. In a powerful confrontation, Ji-woo is forced to defend his relationship with Mr. Choi to the school officials. He explains that without Mr. Choi's help, he would have never unlocked his potential, not just in math, but in life. Ji-woo speaks from the heart, telling them that Mr. Choi's unconventional methods are the only reason he's found a passion for learning and a belief in himself. It's a moving moment where Ji-woo, who once lacked confidence and direction, stands up for the person who changed his life. However, despite Ji-woo's impassioned defense, the school remains skeptical of Mr. Choi's qualifications and the appropriateness of his involvement with a student. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi faces his own internal struggle. The scrutiny of his role as a tutor forces him to confront his past once and for all. In a quiet but emotional moment, he shares with Ji-woo the full truth about why he left his life as a brilliant mathematician in North Korea. Mr. Choi reveals that he had been pressured by the regime to use his genius for their political gain, but when he resisted, his life was torn apart. He fled the country, but the trauma of abandoning his homeland and his career has haunted him ever since. Mr. Choi's life in hiding, working as a security guard, was his way of escaping that pain. Hearing this, Ji-woo realizes that Mr. Choi isn't just a mentor, he's a survivor, someone who sacrificed everything for his principles. This revelation gives Ji-woo the strength to face his own challenges head-on. Inspired by Mr. Choi's resilience, Ji-woo refuses to back down, determined to fight for the education and personal growth that Mr. Choi has given him. In a climactic moment, Mr. Choi confronts the school administration. Instead of defending his role as a tutor, he challenges the system itself, pointing out how it fails students like Ji-woo who don't fit the mold. He argues that true education is about fostering a love for learning, not just about memorizing facts or passing tests. Mr. Choi's words resonate with Ji-woo and the audience alike as they capture the heart of the movie's message, that everyone deserves a chance to discover their potential, even if it means breaking away from traditional structures. The film's resolution is both bittersweet and hopeful. While Mr. Choi ultimately decides to leave the school, choosing to live life on his own terms rather than being confined by societal expectations, his impact on Ji-woo is undeniable. Ji-woo continues to excel in math, but more importantly, he has found a sense of purpose and self-confidence that will carry him forward. The bond between the two remains strong, even as they part ways, with Ji-woo promising to carry on the lessons Mr. Choi taught him, not just in math, but in life. The final scenes of the movie show Ji-woo confidently tackling a difficult math problem, a symbol of how far he has come. He's no longer the timid student who doubted himself. He's a young man who understands that success isn't just about getting the right answers, but about having the courage to face challenges head-on, no matter how daunting they may seem. In Our Prime ends on a reflective note, reminding us that the most important lessons often come from the most unexpected places, and that mentorship, resilience, and self-belief can transform even the most difficult of journeys into a path toward greatness.